where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so before we get started, first of all, I have COVID, so if I sound like shit, it's because I sound like shit. But secondly, I want to address the elephant in the room and the election. So and people who send me hate mail to say not to be political. Oh, my butthole's ready.
Yeah.
For your mouth. Lick it. I don't care. Like, I'm just going to
If you don't want to hear it, just skip over.
Just go away. I don't even
seconds.
want you as a fan. Yuck. Fuck off. So I'd like to, usually when we have like sad things happen, we take a moment of silence, quiet contemplation or praying or crying or whatever. No, this is no more of that. We're going to take a moment of fuck. So I want you to get ready with me, taking a deep cleansing breath.
Especially if you're driving and you're in traffic right now.
A deep cleansing breath. And what we're going to do is this. Fuck. Yeah, that's a moment of fuck.
Yeah. Y'all can scream it. I didn't want to scream it in your headphones.
No, I'm not going to do that. That's rude as shit.
Yeah, but definitely scream it.
Oh, really? Primal.
Loud.
Fuck. Like a fuck from the depths of your butthole. That's where it should come from.
From your butt to your mouth.
Right to pipeline, right to it. Now, this month, we're going to do families who kill.
Yes.
Because it's Thanksgiving month or whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? I don't care about anything anymore. So whatever. We had our Discord members vote on next month's theme, but there's a twist. And they didn't know. I don't know. Maybe they knew because I kind of hinted at it. But we're going to cover only one case next month. We're going to do a deep vibe.
Deep dive.
Deep dive. Not a vibe. I've got one, but you don't need to hear about that.
You don't want to go that deep.
It's pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up. Okay, so we're going to do a deep dive on one case. It's going to be active serial killer, meaning definitely it's going to be a cold case with a lot of ins and outs.
That could be currently happening right now.
Yes.
Which is honestly the most terrifying subject, in my personal opinion, that we can talk about.
Merry Christmas.
I fucking hate it, so.
But it's all for you.
It's
all for you.
Yeah. It's just like actual nightmares. Like,
I don't like it either, but
the fact
whatever.
that it's current is the thing that gets me.
Yeah, so y'all voted. That's what you wanted. Don't be sad if that's what you get. I can't trigger warning this episode because it's just murder. There's nothing.
It's just murder. There's not a whole lot of like gore or anything like that.
Like childhood abuse or trauma. So,
no.
And like I'm just never gonna trigger warning for murder.
Yeah.
For that is stupid. Yeah.
Well, because it's a murder podcast.
Exactly. If that triggers you, then why are you listening? I don't understand. I mean, I know you want to hear my lovely voice, but you can hear that on Reality, which is a podcast about reality television hosted by Maris, and I'm the co-host, and I yell on that one too. And you know what? Maris only gets like the nicest fan mail. I still manage to get hate mail over there. Nobody like a mouthy bitch.
Nope.
But I don't care. I'm feral now, so it's all over for you whores. Anyway, what case are we covering today?
Today we are covering the Staudte family. This one's a doozy. Like, this is one that I just kind of stumbled upon. I was just going to cover it on Patreon. But since we randomly decided to do this month, it had a hold on my entire attention. I just couldn't focus on any of the lists that I had for this month. I just had to talk about this one. This one's just nuts. Just nuts and bolts.
I like a good crazy time, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's one of those like you would never have guessed that this family would have been the way that it was.
One time in my life, I want to be the neighbor they interview, and they'll be like, "Did you suspect?" And be like, "Yes, the whole time, that shifty motherfucker." I just want to one time in my life.
Yeah, because you also know everything. So
yeah.
like they did this, they did this, they did this.
I'm a busybody know-it-all. Of course I know everything. Nobody likes that, so I usually keep my mouth shut, except on a podcast where keeping my mouth shut would be bad radio or whatever.
Virgo, Capricorn, is that your thing?
Virgo rising.
Oh, yeah.
Capricorn moon.
That's right.
And Virgo sun.
That's right.
Fuck you. I'm right. You're wrong.
If you guys could have seen the expression on her face, it was everything that her zodiac chart says.
Yeah. I hate that it's so accurate.
It's so accurate, dude. Like...
God. Because I'm annoyed with myself. I'm like, can you chill? And my insides are like, never.
That's exactly what the Virgo sun and Capricorn moon would do.
Never. What's chill? I don't know.
All
I don't
right.
want to be a boss anymore. I want to be a baby. But please go ahead. I'm
Okay.
just going to be here and shut up.
Okay. So the Staudte family. They were just basically, from the outside looking in, your typical Midwestern family. They were living in Springfield, Missouri, which is just right over there to us. Springfield's kind of big if you compare it to our little town, but as far as cities go, it's not a very big city. It still has that small town vibe. It's very white. It's very Christian. It's very POA, clean lawns and shit. Like that's kind of like who they were. They were kind of your standard Midwestern family. It was a family of 6, and they all attended church regularly. The mother, Diane, was head of music. She sang and played guitar and was the church organist while also working as a nurse. Her husband, Mark Staudte, fronted a local blues band called Messing with Destiny. Aside from his weekly gigs, he would pick up odd jobs here and there, but mostly he stayed home with the 3 kids while Diane was at work. And everyone loved the Staudte family. Like I said, from the outside looking in, everything seemed perfect, like literally picture perfect. The couple seemed very happy together. Mark was from St. Louis and Diane was from Springfield. They met at a bluegrass music festival in 1984. And music just seemed to be the centerpiece of Mark and Diane's relationship, as well as the centerpiece of the household. Most of the kids played music. They got married on December 8th, 1985. Diane was already 3 months pregnant with their first child, which leads people to believe that that's why they got married. But I feel like that is a very just normalized thing to happen. I don't really know what else to call it, but a lot of people kind of want to be like, well, they only got married because she was pregnant. They were in love. How many marriages start with a pregnancy? Like, come on.
So many.
That's not taboo. That's
No, it's not
fairly
weird.
regular. Yeah. They were madly in love. They ended up having and raising 4 children together. Their daughter Rachel, age 22, also sang in the church choir and was heavily involved with the church with her mother Diane. Their oldest son, Sean, age 26, was autistic and had a seizure disorder, and so he was still living in the home. He didn't really have a job. Like, he would do he tried to do odd jobs, but he didn't. It was too overwhelming and too overstimulating for him, so he just stayed at home. Their daughter, Sarah Staudte, age 24, had just graduated college, but was living at home to pay off her student debt. The youngest daughter, Brianna, was 9 and in 4th grade. They had a full house.
Yeah, clearly.
To say the least, yeah.
I know how that is.
That's a lot of adults living in the house. That's 3 adult children and 1 child. But everything seemed normal for the Staudte family until Mark fell sick in 2012. Diane said that she assumed that it was just side effects of his poor habits, like late night drinking and smoking. But his bandmates and those that were close to him noticed that he seemed frail and yellowish, like almost jaundiced. At their last recording session, they had to stop mid-session because Mark was so disoriented that he didn't realize that they were even recording. The following week, their son Sean posted a string of concerning Facebook posts that read, and this is starting on April 1st, and then sequentially April 2nd all the way to April 8th. His first post says, "My father is suffering from an incurable mental illness and is likely to die." And then it reads, my father is slowly starting to have problems with driving and accomplishing anything. When he drove a car, the car swerved a little bit. I had to help him keep the car direction straight and properly turning. His next post read, my father is so insane that I don't want to be friends with him anymore. Like, clear, I know, it's really sad.
It's really heartbreaking.
Like, clearly his dad is going through something, and his son really doesn't understand. Nobody really understands what's going on with him. April 6th, he says, my father has changed from panic, aggressive, and selfish to depressed and suicidal. He took his car, wallet, and cell phone. He said he would commit suicide rather than torment us. I don't know if I will see him alive. He no longer cares about himself. He never truly listened to other people. If he is dead, I want to see him and make sure he is dead. April 7th. My father is slowly losing contact. He cares more about music and his computer than anything else, even his own welfare. My family is slowly reducing contact with my father because he no longer cares and worries about us. I have been feeling good since I started limiting contact with my father. I no longer walk with him or travel with him. I don't talk to him unless I'm saying something important.
It's just really sad.
It really is. You can kind of see the deterioration of their family from the inside. And, you know, with his autism, you can tell that he words things differently than most people would
very blunt.
Speak. Very, very blunt.
Yes.
And in a certain rhythm. I've noticed.
There is a certain, like, since I live around tons of autistic people, being a bit on the spectrum myself,
same.
I recognize the cadence quite well when somebody isn't masking. Like when I'm not masking, which I'm doing right now. Of course I am.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be an entertaining podcast if I sit here and go, hello, my name is Lillian. And I am not masking right now. Like literally, I go flat.
Sometimes I ebb in and out.
I can't pay attention. For like after so much time. And so like I'm just really familiar now with the cadence of autistic speech.
Right.
And I find it interesting that like it shares. You can kind of tell.
You can tell. Yeah, you can hear it, and you can hear him kind of trying to figure out what's going on, while also trying to like set up boundaries because he doesn't understand what's going on with his dad, but he really doesn't want that to negatively affect him because he's trying to take care of his own nervous system, which anyone on the spectrum is always trying to do.
The time.
Always constantly trying to handle our own nervous system.
Which is
because holy shit.
Yes.
He goes on to say, my father is slowly getting sicker. His voice is slurred. His walking is wobbly. His body is more tired than normal. He had to rest when he realized his car driving was swerving the car a little bit. He is sleeping in bed longer than us. He may collapse under his weight any time. He goes on to talk about his motor skills. He says, my father is so weak that he must spend half the day in bed. His motor skills are deteriorating to the point to where he cannot mow the lawn properly or drive a vehicle safely. If he gets behind the steering wheel of any vehicle, he says, if he gets behind the steering wheel of any vehicle safely, I don't really understand that part. He says that his failing motor skills would put pets, people, and himself in danger. And then the next day, on Easter Sunday, 2012, Mark wasn't in attendance at church. When people asked Diane about Mark, she just said that he was fine. He was just feeling a little under the weather and couldn't make it to church that day.
It sounds reasonable.
The next day, Diane posted to Facebook, quote, for all my friends on Facebook, this past Sunday evening, Mark, my husband of 27 years, reached his eternal home, and then left a Bible verse. That was it.
Ooh, big yikes on that.
Sean posted, quote, my father died. He lived a full life. The cause of death is a stroke. His funeral is this week. His belongings now belong to my sisters, end quote. When Mark's body was recovered, there was no sign of injuries other than a dried ring of blood around his mouth. But due to his lifestyle, the coroner didn't investigate further. marking his cause of death as natural causes, and he was cremated, his ashes scattered over Lake Springfield. Diane received $20,000 and moved the family into a bigger home. Life went on as normal for a little bit. It was as if nothing happened.
It's really creepy.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
This whole fucking thing is creepy.
It's creeping me out a little bit.
Dude, it only gets worse.
Gross.
5 months later, after Mark died, on September 2nd, 2012, 26-year-old Sean was found dead in the family home, laying in fetal position on the floor with a blanket and his arms outstretched.
Don't like that.
Diane came home from church that Sunday to find Sean unresponsive on his bedroom floor. She called police. When paramedics arrived, he was pronounced dead. Diane told police that Sean was pretty sick during the days leading up to his death. She said that he had flu-like symptoms, nausea, vomiting, body aches, very similar to what Mark was experiencing. She said that she hadn't taken him to the hospital because she assumed that since he was staying hydrated, the illness would soon pass. When Sean's body was recovered, he too had a dried ring of blood around his mouth. But since his mother had stated that he had been throwing up, and because of the flu-like symptoms, and also he had had a seizure in the days prior, so she brought up his seizure condition, seizure disorder, and they basically just marked his death as a result of prior medical issues and didn't investigate any further.
26 years old.
26 years old.
I think if somebody's under the age of 40, it should just be automatically an investigation.
Under the age of 50.
Unless it's like completely obvious, like a car accident or they choked to death.
Right.
Or
even if it's
cancer.
Cardiac arrest, investigate it.
Yeah. But if you just find a 26-year-old man dead on the floor, I think there should be an investigation.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. After his death, Diane received $15,000 of life insurance payouts. Diane posted a Facebook quote, "To my Facebook friends and family, it's been hard for me to come up with the right words, but here goes. On Sunday, my oldest child, Sean, died. Although he had been sick lately, we thought he was getting better. Thank you to those who have called or messaged me. Please continue to pray for us during this time." End quote. And once again, after that, life went back to normal, and there seemed to be no mention of Sean or Mark ever again. Rachel moved into Sean's bedroom, and she and Diane continued their work at the church's music ministries. June 9th, 2013, 9 months after Sean's death, Diane posted to Facebook, quote, "Asking for prayers for my daughter Sarah, who is in critical condition in ICU tonight." End quote. The 24-year-old was being admitted for, you guessed it, flu-like symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
But the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. Her brain was bleeding and her kidneys were failing. She spent 10 days in ICU and still needed further treatments. She had to relearn how to walk, talk, eat. She nearly died from organ failure. They couldn't figure out what had caused it. She was otherwise a very healthy young woman. Then the police got an anonymous call.
It took a call?
It took a call. From guess who?
I don't know.
The church pastor.
Surprise.
Right?
But why did it take a call? When that many folks is dropping dead, I don't know.
In the same household?
I just can't. Ugh, don't get me started. I'm already mad.
Right?
I'll have another moment of fuck.
I know. So the family pastor, Jeff Sippy, had noticed the suspicious deaths and health concerns with the Staudte family. He knew something was up with Mark's death, but after Sean's death and now Sarah, he had to say something. And he was really close to Diane. They worked together almost day in and day out at that church. Everything that she did for the entirety of their family, living there in Springfield, she worked next to this man. Like, they were really good family friends. So it took a lot for him to even be able to handle the suspicion that she might have something to do with it, let alone come forward. But once Sarah was in ICU, he couldn't not say something. And it was just too suspicious. So he basically called, the police station, told the detective what he knew about the deaths and the suspicions that he had. And one detective took this tip seriously and decided to make a visit to the hospital where Sarah was staying. The doctor there talked to him and told him that he felt like Sarah was possibly poisoned. She probably wasn't going to make it. When asked about the mother and like what the mother was like, a nurse said that Diane was acting really strange and kind of happy considering her daughter was dying. She was actually talking about vacations that she was going to have and even making jokes about Sarah while she was laying there, fucking dying. Diane was brought in for questioning. The investigator had gotten test results back from Mark and Sean's autopsy, and along with Sarah's results, they found that they had in fact been poisoned. They just had to get her to talk. So he started kind of asking her about some random things. He asked her about, what kind of cleaning products do you have in your house? Because they didn't really know exactly what she was poisoned with. Especially with a lot of certain poisonings, you have to know what you're looking for in order to find it. I'm not a coroner or any type of doctor of any sort. I don't know what that entails, but that's what I've found as far as the research goes. Like, you really have to know what you're looking for. So at this point, they don't necessarily know exactly what she poisoned them with. They just know that they were poisoned, and the only person that they could think of was Diane. So, yeah, they start asking her about what cleaning products she has in her house. She literally just can't remember what cleaning products she has at all. And then she kind of just says Lysol. I don't know. It was just kind of odd. Like, I found that odd because I know every cleaning product in my house. Of course I do. So, and then they kind of joked around about how they're not ingesting Lysol. Like, who ingests Lysol? He then started asking her about their home life, how the marriage was, the relationship with the children. And Diane was super open about everything. She said that it was a very far from happy marriage. She said that Mark stayed out late, drinking, smoking pot, and slept around. She said that he was lazy. He didn't help around the house. He barely brought in any money. They were constantly fighting and bickering. Her friends urged her to actually kick him out of the house at one point, but she said that she couldn't do that because she said that he was bipolar and she was scared that he would kill himself. So she let him live in her house.
Okay.
She's just so cold.
I know.
And the way that she talked, don't even get me into one of the other people in this story. Like, the way that her voice, can't stand it. But it's just so cold. It's emotionless. It's just so verbatim and just heartless. She said that Sean was annoying and needy and wouldn't get a job because, again, he's overstimulated and special needs. But she just couldn't stand that. She said that he was pesky, like a pest. She said that all Sarah did was sleep all day, and she also wouldn't get a job, and Diane was tired of paying off her student loans. She was basically tired of having to pay for all these people in her house. She was tired of having to do all these things for all these people in her house. People, which I might add, she made. People she made with her body.
Obviously, yeah.
Sorry, you're responsible.
Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And look, I'm going to say it, and people don't like it. You're responsible for their entire life.
Yeah.
Because you could have a child with special needs, and just because they hit 18 doesn't mean they can be out on their own.
Exactly.
Going to take care of them.
Exactly. Yeah, I was definitely part of the household where you're 18, bye.
Oh, yeah, same. Yeah. But he was 17 because I pissed him off for no reason, and then they checked me out. Mm-hmm. But how many people in my generation, especially late Gen Xers, early millennials, you heard it? You're 18, bye.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many friends that happened to, and how devastating that is to a start to your life. It will literally ruin your life.
Yeah.
I often think where I would be today if I hadn't been made homeless when I was 17 years old.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because it took like 15 years to crawl out of that shit. It did.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I didn't make it into like an actual shelter until I was 30. Well, 28, 29.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, she basically just told the detective, like, and it's so weird because she just opened right up. He was like, you know, basically tell me about your family life. And she's like, everybody sucks. I can't stand anybody. I am so overwhelmed. And he's like, yeah, like that would definitely lead you to a breaking point. And she's like, yeah, it did. She was just so upfront about it. She didn't even try to hide it. It was so weird. And then, like, you know, if he would ask specific questions alluding to the fact that she could have murdered them or could have poisoned them, then she would backtrack. But, like, she kind of set the entire thing up with the motive. The detective asked her how much she got from Mark's life insurance, and she very quickly said $20,000. And then he was like, Sean's $15,000. Like, very fast. And he was like, and if Sarah died, how much would you get? $15,000. And if Rachel dies, $15,000. And if Brianna dies, $15,000. Like, she answered it like so quickly. Like those were the numbers she was thinking about. It was just so odd to me. How the fuck do you just off the top of your head know exactly how much life insurance you have out on every single person in your fucking house? Like, that's creepy. So he knows, obviously this detective knows that he has her, but he has to try to persuade her to actually say it. She hasn't asked for a lawyer at this point, and later on in the interview, she ended up asking if she could have a lawyer, and he was like, yeah, of course you can have a lawyer. Would you like to continue talking to me without a lawyer? And then she said, yeah. And then she just kept going. So, like, later on in the court, they would kind of bring that up because, like, Diane to this day, like, she did a 2020 interview later on and, like, recently. And still to this day, she'll say that she's innocent. Although right here, right now, she's about to say everything. And it's so fucking weird how they can go into detail about their crimes, go to prison, get sentenced, go to prison, and then while they're in prison, they're
Suddenly
like,
they didn't do it. Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Unfortunately, like, false confessions can get detailed as fuck.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is not the norm.
No. And that's why they do that, is like they go in and they're like, oh, wait. They learn from other people.
Oh, exactly.
I know, because, I mean, I didn't go to prison, but I went to jail. Like, I know how.
You learn shit in jail.
You learn a lot of shit in
Everybody
jail,
ready
dude.
to share that knowledge.
Girl, let me string up your eyebrows. I got you.
Yeah, where do you think that shit come
Girl,
from? It come from jail.
Girl, my eyebrows never looked so good.
I was only in jail like 10 hours, so I didn't learn anything except that sucked.
Commissary baking and like making weird things with commissary, that was fun. That was fun to learn. When birthdays came around, you would always make like cool commissary cakes and stuff. The things you can do with instant coffee. I'm just saying.
I mean,
and lukewarm water.
Let me tell you,
in Benton County, you're not allowed hot food or hot water.
That is true because Benton County's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you this: if you want to make the best chocolate cake you've ever eaten in your whole fucking life, a little instant coffee,
girl,
a little hot water,
girl,
put that shit in that cake, enhance the chocolatey flavor, and it makes it the moistest.
Moist.
That was a very hard word to say. Don't make me say it again. It was the most moist. That's what you get. Because moistest isn't a word.
I bet this bitch right here is getting the moistest cake in prison. I'm sorry.
I'm done.
That made me... That was gross.
You're so
I'm
dumb.
sorry. I was trying to do a transition. It didn't work out very well.
No, it didn't. I ain't keeping that one.
Okay, but yeah, so basically the investigator has Diane and he's basically trying to just get her to keep talking. She's really opening up about stuff, but then she gets a little bit guarded, so he's kind of he because he knows his audience. I mean, the guy that did the interviews, they have all of them, you know, on YouTube. You can watch all of the police interrogations of this. Fascinating as fuck because he understands his audience. He's able to understand that Diane is a church-going woman, and so she's very vulnerable to, like the cadence of a pastor. Like he just changed his way of speech to almost sound like he was giving her a sermon, and she hung on to every single word that he was saying. And he was basically telling her that, like, hey, it's really good to confess, to let things off of your chest, to, tell your side of the story of what happened and why it happened, because it does, release the burdens off the soul. Like, he did this whole spiel. She ate it up. She ate it right up. And she ended up halfway admitting, she admitted to knowing that they were drinking antifreeze. That's what she said. She was like, I know that they were drinking antifreeze. Ma'am?
I'm sorry.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Just having fun?
Oh, they were just,
just drinking antifreeze?
Sometimes we run out of Kool-Aid. Sometimes you don't have to go sweet tea.
It is
blue.
Well,
the old antifreeze, though. Huh?
Right?
Huh? No one drinks antifreeze for fun. That's just not a thing that happens.
No. And I heard someone say that, like, sometimes when alcoholics are really desperate, they'll do it. And that's why people make antifreeze bitter and to where it tastes bad. But
no, they do it because pets.
And because it's bright blue and it looks like fucking Kool-Aid. Or bright green.
They make it bitter tasting because pets and children is your answer.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Because it's poison.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say, well, Mark was an alcoholic. He had beer in the fridge. Like, he's not going to drink some antifreeze for fun. But that was exactly what the investigator needed to really hone in on this investigation, because up until this point, they knew, like, some of the chemicals that were found in their system, but once he knew antifreeze, then he understood some of the chemicals that were there, and then he could connect it all, and then it made sense. The symptoms, everything lined up. So, yeah, she basically was like, I knew that they were drinking it, and I was really mad at them for drinking it, like, basically acting like they were addicted to it, like it was a drug. And was like, basically saying that she was mad at them for doing it. And so, of course, she wasn't going to call paramedics or anything because she was mad at them for essentially doing this drug. But it's not a drug. It's not going to. But yeah, the interrogator basically after this is it kind of felt like a half admission here. So here's where he kind of just gets ballsy, and he just straight up told her, quote, you knew that they were drinking antifreeze. You knew that. They didn't. You knew they were drinking antifreeze. They didn't know that they were drinking antifreeze because you were the one poisoning them with it. And he was like, basically, you and I, we both know that. And she got quiet, and she said, quote, I didn't know what else to do. And that's all he needed. That was the admission. That was the admission of guilt right there. That was basically her saying, yep, I poisoned them. And with that, they were able to make their arrest. But not before they talked to her a little bit further. Like, with that admission, they were able to arrest her, but she was in the mood to talk. So he was going to let her keep talking. She told the detective all about why she killed them, how she was annoyed with her daughter, her son, and her husband, and researched how to kill them. She found that the odorless antifreeze that they sold online, that you can't, like the tasteless antifreeze, like they make it bitter on the shelves, but the tasteless one you can actually order online. So she did that.
That's true.
And she told him that she added it to their Gatorade and their Coke, and basically anytime that she could, multiple times a day. And that's basically how she did it, because she was annoyed with them. That was it. That was fucking it. She was annoyed.
I can't, like, I've been annoyed.
A lot?
I'm always kind of annoyed.
Yeah.
But I just can't get everyone to hurt anybody over it. I think I'm the problem. When I'm annoyed, I'm like, oh, you're the problem.
Yeah, girl, you need to chill.
You probably need to go be in some
Go touch
fortress
grass,
of
smoke
solitude.
some grass.
You need to be alone.
Yeah.
Like, go rant and rave to your robot. Helpful.
Yeah.
Watch Hot Sauron on Lord of the Rings like 20
right.
times.
Because, like, in all honesty, we're all having existential crises.
We're not doing good.
And we're all vibing at the same time. So, like, let each other vibe. Like, just chill the fuck out.
Just calm down.
This lady, I don't get her, dude. Like, I think she needs to be studied. I think she needs to be
yeah, she sounds all fucked
fully
up.
studied.
I don't
she needs something. So a few hours after Diane was arrested, they brought in Rachel for questioning and to let her know, basically set her down and let her know that her mother was being arrested and what she was being arrested for, essentially. And they had their suspicions about Rachel from the start. She was the only child of Diane and Mark's that Diane never complained about. On the contrary, she praised her daughter Rachel for just about everything she did. Like, her Facebook post was Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. Everything was about Rachel. She hardly ever mentioned her son or her other kids. She especially never really talked about her husband. It was mostly just her daughter Rachel. They were more like best friends than mother and daughter. They did everything together, including playing music for the church. They were pretty much inseparable. And with 3 people in the household being poisoned, police suspected that there was likely no way that Diane was able to do all of this without Rachel knowing, with her always being around. You know what I mean? So Rachel was brought in and immediately told exactly what happened and why. He told her very coldly, your mother poisoned your father, your siblings, and she basically poisoned them because she said that she was tired of them. And Rachel just seemed to kind of shut down. She didn't have a normal reaction, which, we kind of really can't talk about that. Because what is a normal reaction to that information?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'd react if someone said that about my mother.
I would likely scream. I don't know.
Yeah, I just can't say. I really can't, because I've never been in a situation like that.
She kind of froze and shut down. You kind of see her like face squinch up really hard, but she didn't really cry necessarily. She just kind of basically shut down until the officer left the room. And when the officer left the room, that's when she broke down. That's when she was like, God, why? God, why? Please, God, please. And as someone who's been on the inside, and I don't know, there's parts of that seem very red flaggy and suspicious to me. But anyways, now, while she was in the station, they just brought her in just to say that. They didn't bring her in for questioning, really. They didn't bring her in to, like, interrogate her by any means at all. At this point, they had no reason to suspect her, so they were just kind of giving her the information. But while she was at the station, detectives were combing through the Staudte house and, collecting evidence and whatnot. They ended up finding her journal, which had some pretty incriminating things in it. Which, if you're going to kill someone, why write about it? I mean, do write about it so we can find it. But
but what are you doing?
The amount of people in these cases that
do dumb shit like this.
Journal?
Girl. Who's actually journaling anyway?
I do manifestation journals, but that's just because I am fucking nuts right now.
Yeah, you're not well.
No. But in one entry in particular that they found, it was about how her dad and her brother were going to die soon. That she was glad that she had time to cope with their loss before it happened. She was also pretty excited to have her dad's car after he was dead. Mm-hmm. This was enough to bring her in for more legitimate questioning. This time they asked her questions about her home life. She said that she loved her dad and her brother and her sister. She said that her dad was easy to get along with and her brother was really chill. She said all he really needed was some comic books to make him happy. Pretty much the opposite of what her mom said. When asked what kind of beverages the household drank, she mentioned every beverage under the sun except for the types of beverages her mother told police that she had poisoned, which I find odd.
Indeed.
So with that, the investigating officer decided to bring up her journal entry. He showed her the journal entry and asked her if she remembered writing this, and she told him it was a dream. She was writing about a dream she had. It wasn't real. It was a reoccurring nightmare that she was scared about.
Oh.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. But then while questioning her further about her quote-unquote reoccurring dreams, she mentioned that she knew her mother was spiking drinks with antifreeze.
Like you do.
Like you just mentioned.
Right.
So this led only to more questions. Come to find out, she not only knew that her mother was poisoning her family members, she was helping them. She had been involved with the entire process. At first, she claimed it was all her mom's idea, of course, but eventually, as the story unraveled, it was clear that she had pretty equal part in the matter. She had even helped her mother during the researching process, which they'd later corroborate with her laptop and cell phone when they processed it.
Again, that's not how we look up how to kill people. They gonna catch you.
What are we doing?
You cannot. You can delete your history. They can still find it.
You know what's weird about this case?
What?
These two never talked about what happens if they get caught. They never once talked about what to do, what to say.
You know what I mean?
The only thing that Rachel ever said about, even imagining getting caught was she didn't want to be on one of those news programs, like those murder mystery news programs.
Oh, bitch, you on one. You on it.
The irony. Isn't it ironic?
Don't you think?
No, the entire song is not ironic. It's just unfortunate.
And I don't think these days.
So, they started researching and discussing what types of plants they could use, what types of other poisons and chemicals they could use that would not be traceable. They settled on antifreeze because, again, unless you are looking for it, you cannot find it. Yeah, absolutely not. And of course, they ended up finding the stuff online that was odorless, tasteless. So they thought that was the way to go, apparently. When asked why she wanted to kill them, Rachel answered by saying, quote, "My dad, when he gets angry, he was very hard to deal with. He would throw things. He would be very unreasonable about the weirdest things, like I wanted a job and he couldn't get one, or just really stupid things. And really, I was a bit scared of him, but I could never see him doing anything to help us. He was always blowing money. He would always be out of the house, wouldn't really help around the house. Sean, I accepted that she wanted him gone, but I really didn't think he was necessary. And I really wasn't actually aware that she was getting Sarah. I knew about Sean, I knew about Dad, but I didn't know she was going to go ahead with Sarah." She finally admitted to full-on helping her mother poison drinks. She said that they would take turns throughout the day, poisoning and distributing drinks several times throughout the day. They would fill about 2 inches of the bottle with antifreeze, and then later on, as each individual got closer to the death, she would end up filling half the bottle with antifreeze, which is a lot. It's a whole fucking lot. And then would give them these drinks of antifreeze at least once in the morning, once at midday, and once at night, if not more. She said that they went through 5 whole bottles of antifreeze on her dad alone. This is a lot. I can't imagine how fucking sick these people were and how long their bodies had to fight.
Yeah, it's not a quick death.
No, and I mean,
really
this
not.
was 2 weeks of poisoning each time.
Terrible. The amount of suffering, and can you think of just how scared they were too?
Yeah, and the excruciating pain.
Yeah, terrible.
Because it does a lot to your mental. I mean, we saw with their dad, going through the mental state that he was going through this poisoning. Just absolute delirium. It's just really terrifying. When Rachel admitted that to also spiking her sister's drink with antifreeze, she was then taken into custody because that is the current case. You know, the person that's actually in ICU right now. The next day, the investigator decided to sit Rachel down to discuss her sister, Sarah. When asked why she decided to take her sister to the hospital instead of leaving her to die like her father and brother, Rachel said that she didn't want to, quote, she didn't want another one to die in the house because, quote, houses are nasty after someone's died in them.
Oh, okay. What the fuck?
She had already dealt with her brother visiting her in dreams and haunting her while she slept in his room where he fucking died. So she didn't want her sister haunting the house as well. That's how she felt. She wanted her sister to die at the hospital instead of the house because she didn't want to have to clean up and she didn't want to have to deal with the repercussions of having her house haunted with her fucking little sister. Fucking gross. That was her main concern. That was her main concern. And she was mad that her sister survived. The fact that her sister was alive in the hospital at that moment, she was upset about it.
That's fucked.
Rachel's diary entry for the day after her brother died read, quote, "Yet I feel your gaze linger over me. I close my eyes and try not to think of the ghosts of copper and bleach on my tongue. I try not to think of the shuddery breaths, or how easily a soul evaporates, leaving nothing behind but a hollow husk curled up on the floor, eyes vacant and dull, arms extended. But what were you reaching for?" Just vile.
Disgusting.
Isn't it?
I can't understand.
She told the officer that they hadn't quite talked about what they, like, if they should kill her, kill Sarah now that she's in the hospital and she recovered. Like what do they do next? Like, do they kill her off again? Or like, mostly their discussion was that now that she has brain damage, what do we do with her? Like, it's so gross. It's just so heartless to even talk about. But Rachel was saying, you know, basically just to let what happens. She expected her to die eventually, that she didn't really want to exert any more effort. Like, she did all she can, basically. And that either way, her sister was out of her house. So it didn't really matter at that point. She even while talking about Sarah, who again is in the hospital with a brain bleed, she even made like snide comments about Sarah, making fun of her for her French degree because she was bitching about the student loans and all of this, and she had her master's in French, and she was like, why would she even study French like that? Like, we live in Springfield. Like, what kind of job are you going to get? Like, are you fucking kidding me? She talked about how her sister's poisoning was the hardest one to witness because her sister was screaming in pain at the hospital. And, well, Rachel doesn't like loud noises. So that was the hardest one. That was the hardest death to witness because it was loud. The most damning piece of evidence came from Rachel's current journal, which they found in her purse when she was being booked in which she had written a poem that read, quote, "Once upon a time there were 6, and now there are 3. Only the quiet ones are left, my mom, my little sister, and me." Though she would later admit that she and her mother had planned on killing the 9-year-old Brianna last. And the reason for killing her was because she thought that she would be too much to take care of. That's it.
Sorry, I was just making a fucked up face because that's a fucked up thing to say.
She just thought that she couldn't take care of her. So kill her. So just kill her.
9.
Neither Rachel nor Diane showed any remorse for the killing and attempted murder of their family members. They were merely annoyed that they had even existed in the same household with them and were annoyed that they were getting caught.
How does it come to that?
Right?
You know, that's the missing
Right.
piece of this story, is where did she come to this? Like, what in her head happened
Both of them.
that they could go this
Both of them.
long?
There's a weird codependency issue here.
I could see that.
There's a weird dynamic that I don't probably have the right words for, but there is a little, like, it's not quite fully adieu, but almost, because it's a type of like weird skewed thinking and projecting that all these things are bad about these people in your household. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just miserable because they live with you.
Right.
Like, come the fuck on. There's nothing wrong with these people, but they made these things wrong with these people so that way they had a reason to kill them. And let's just be honest, Diane was going to kill Rachel as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
1,000%. Rachel would have been last. That's $15,000. So, of course, Rachel took a plea deal for her confession. In May 2015, she pleaded guilty for 2 counts of second-degree murder and 1 count of first-degree assault. She was given 2 life sentences plus 20 years in prison. In January of 2016, Diane Staudte, pleaded guilty on 2 counts of murder and was sentenced to life in prison. 4th grader Brianna was given a new name, which we don't know and shouldn't, and was put into foster care.
Good.
She would be an adult by now and hopefully living her best life, safe.
She don't remember much, but I'm sure she does.
I'm sure she
9
does.
Is old enough.
Yep.
God Almighty.
Sarah has lived in an assisted living home with a caregiver ever since the poisoning.
That's so sad. This wrecked her whole fucking life.
College educated. She had places to go, people to be, you know what I mean? Like, she was going to go far in life. She had a lot of things she wanted to do. And
all taken away.
All of it. All of it was taken away. I just want to leave this with a statement that Sarah read in court during her mother's sentencing. It reads, quote, "I prefer to be a survivor than a victim. I forgive my mom for what she did to me, but she not only took away my dad and my brother, but she took away my lifestyle, my livelihood, and my independence."
Fuck.
And how she can forgive through all of that.
Because I couldn't.
The only way that I could imagine forgiving through all of that is purely through spite, because that's me being a better person.
That's not really forgiveness, though.
Exactly. And so I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to forgive like that.
I don't believe in it.
I don't either.
You know what apologies...
I mean, I'm proud of her.
Let me tell you this, y'all. Apologies ain't for you. They're for the person apologizing. "I'm sorry" is the most useless statement on the face of this fucking earth. If somebody wants to come to me and show contriteness for something they've done, then they need to say, "Hey, I fucked up there. What I did, A, B, and C, was wrong, and it wronged you in this way.
This is what I did.
Going forward, I will do this instead."
Yes.
That, to me...
That's a true
I'm
apology.
chef kissing it many times. I'm almost making out with it. Perfection.
Apology without changed behavior is just words.
Apology is garbage, and it is for the person apologizing. I never want an apology. Take it, turn it sideways, up your butt. Don't want it.
Changed behavior.
That's all I want.
Changed behavior.
That's all I want. So, everybody's having a bad time, right?
Yes.
We're all having a bad time.
Yes, we are.
And I hate to shill for myself, but if I don't shill for myself, who will? And so if you want to not think about this crap, you can go to our Patreon. I think at this point, the last I counted was almost 600 hours. Like, if not right at 600 hours of content.
Hell yeah.
And it's the best way to support this podcast, because I get emails saying, like, how can I support the podcast? By being a patron. We are getting ready to restructure our Patreon again, but because our lives have changed a lot. Willow now has to work and she is a single mom. I lost my livelihood due to stalking and bullshit, so now I have to work a lot harder. Maris works, so we have to restructure some things. It doesn't mean less, it just means more predictable content on a schedule we can keep up with. Because right now we cannot keep up with anything. We are flailing around. I've been so sick.
I'm not getting any sleep. I am dying.
Willow's tired.
I am dying.
So we have to figure out something. And so we're going to be working on it. But just because we're working on it doesn't mean we're not going to upload, doesn't mean no content. And if you've not been a patron, there's a ton of content on there. Mm-hmm. So.
And if we miss an episode, like you were sick or yada yada, don't worry. Just know.
We trying.
We're not going anywhere.
No, we're not. But we do have to acknowledge, like, we've been struggling because our lives have changed a lot.
Yeah.
And going forward, I would like, if you are listening right now, and I know out of all the at least couple thousand people that listen to us, somebody out there gotta be good with TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Get in touch with me.
I tried many years ago. Cannot do it. Too much. Cannot.
Willow cannot do any more things.
No.
So what I'm going to ask is someone teach me how to TikTok. I'm 45 years old. It confuses and frightens me. So I need somebody to hold my little hand, my little baby hand, and say, Grandma, this is how you use the microwave.
We need a Gen Z.
I need a Gen Z who's not one of my kids who are so sick of my shit right now.
Yeah.
And plus they're in flux too. I've got kids going everywhere right now. So, and also, my 2 young ones at home don't use TikTok at all. They hate it. So they're YouTubers. They like YouTube. They're not YouTubers, but they like YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube and you know how to do anything, help me. Hamburger, help me. I've got to get this podcast out there more.
Yeah. Because
that's the only thing that's going to save me and Willow's ass. If we're going to be honest. Especially mine. I'm old and there's no hope left. Like, the path I'm on is the path I'm on till I'm dead. So if you want to help me out, I would really appreciate it. I will work out some form of compensation. We'll figure it out. It'll either be money or goods or both.
Eternal love is a given.
I'm not going to just pay you in love because you'll starve to death and die.
No, but that is a given.
But I will help you, and you will help me, and together we will learn.
Symbiotic.
I need somebody who can just sit. Look, do you know TikTok and YouTube? Help me. And I will something you. I will something. I'll kiss you.
That's gross.
Gently and platonically, chastely on the forehead. I'll tuck you into bed every night.
I love a good forehead kiss. God damn.
Let me tell you
solve
something.
A lot of things.
Maris is not allowed to walk by me with a little smoochy boochy on my forehead place. Mm-hmm. I will point to it and make like pterodactyl noises until he kisses it, because you know what it does? It makes everything okay.
It does. It does.
Makes everything okay for a second.
Yep. I'm going to cry now.
I'm not going to kiss you on the forehead.
Nope. It's been a long time since I had one, and nope.
Nope. We're good. We're going to move on. And remember to take your moment of fuck. That is where you scream fuck for as long as you possibly can.
Do it as many times a day. You cannot overdose.
No. Just scream fuck into a pillow as you punch it and cry. Scream fuck while you're on the toilet and you're having a particularly bad poop.
Yep.
Scream fuck in the shower. Scream fuck while you're making dinner. Just scream it.
Yep.
That's all we've got now.
Yep. That's it.
But seriously, if you are struggling with your mental health, I recommend, especially if you're trans, like the Trevor Project, trevorproject.com. You can call the suicide hotline. And I'll put those, if I remember, my brain is just fucking fried because I have COVID, but I'll try and put those as resources in the description of this podcast. You can reach out to me. I can't promise I'll answer. I get so many emails. And of course, because of the recent bullshit, I get a lot of fun, hateful ones. Like, they're like, haha, we want, I don't care, for the record.
Yeah.
Like, it's what I eat it for fuel. So you're just making me stronger. But yeah, the best way to get in touch with me, I don't know right now. I'm trying to get some social media back up and going. I'm on Blue Sky.
What's that?
It's the Twitter alternative because I can't be on Twitter because it's full of fascists.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around the fascists. And I'm on Tumblr. But you don't get my Tumblr. It's a secret.
I miss old Tumblr.
I'm fine with Tumblr as it is right now. I'm having a good time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. But there's reasons people don't get my Tumblr. And it's not because my titties are on there. I would let y'all see my titties. I don't care. If you want to see these old titties, that's up to you. But it's just embarrassing. And so we're going to leave it at that. I don't need to be embarrassed. I'm good. But if all you can do to support this podcast is listen, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Kind.
Seriously.
Why we do it. If you're on YouTube, you can hit all of the buttons that other YouTubers tell you to hit. Or you can gently caress them. You don't need to hit them. Like, calm down. It's not that serious. I don't know what I'm doing with YouTube. I'm trying. Leave me alone. Everything's hard. Okay. But other than that, I think that's enough for today. And we're going to go now.
Yeah.
We love you.
Good night.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.